Well, hello, high achievers. So, this week, what I want us to do is to go back to our birthing framework. Remember our birthing framework. The B is for bring forth the vision, the I is for identify your why, your R is to refine your readiness, your T is to target your milestones, your H is to honor the process, your I, again, is to implement boldly. Your N is network strategically, and your G is to give back. So as we enter the last quarter of the year, we're about to close out Q3 and we're going to go into Q4. I want you to finish the year strong. I want you to go back to January and reflect on the goals and dreams and desires that you had this year and assess where you are with those dreams. If you have not yet taken action, it is not too late. Believe me, I'm a living testimony that you can finish the year strong and accomplish great and mighty things, okay? But this is what I want you to do. I want you to go back to that B and bring forth the vision, that goal that you promised yourself at the beginning of the year. And I don't want to just say that goal that you set. If you notice, I'm saying you promise yourself, because when we break promises, it hurts us more. And so I want you to see this as something that will hurt you if you don't accomplish it. Okay? And pick one of those things that you have not yet started, or you're in the process of starting and you've become stagnant and you need that momentum to keep going. Pick that goal. And today, this week, what we're going to do is focus on the I. Identify your why. Why do you want that dream so bad? Why is it that you feel it will transform your life? Okay. What I want you to do is we're going to do an exercise together. Okay. And with this exercise, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to envision yourself going through 7 gates to get to that big goal that you have for yourself, that thing that you promised yourself at the end of the year, whatever it is. Okay. As you go through the gate, you're going to ask yourself why. And whatever answer you give, you're going to ask yourself again why to that preceding answer. Okay. And each answer that you give will get you closer and closer and closer to your big why you want this thing. And that should be what should convict you and prick you. I did this exercise with one of my mentees last week, and I'm going to use her example. I'm sure she wouldn't mind me using her example. And so what I asked her, and part of the coaching session, she was able to list 10 things that she wanted that she felt she was good at, right? And she wanted to pursue in life. But then I asked her to pick one of those things, the one that pricked her heart the most. And of that one that she wanted to support kids going to school. And so then I asked her, now you're at the gate and you have that opportunity to support kids, but you have to pass these tests. What is your first why? Why do you want to support kids going to school? And so she said, because when people are exposed to education, they will stop using drugs. And she said, stop using drugs because of a personal experience she had with a family member who ended up on drugs. So that was something that's important to her. So that's a little hint into her why. Okay. So she got to go through the first gate. And as she's walking, so you picture yourself doing this exercise, she gets to the second gate, but she can't go through until she answers that why to her last question. And so then I asked her, why do you want to help people get off of drugs? Okay. And so she said, because we will have a healthy community. So then I said, okay, you get to go through that third gate. So why now do you want to have a healthy community? And so she said, because I want people to live in peace and to help one another. Okay, so she's starting to go through her why. She wants to have people live in peace. Can you imagine the environment, the world that we'll be in if everyone lived in peace and were able to help one another? And so I led her through that gate. So then I said, now, why do you want to help people live in peace? Why do you want people to live in peace and to help each other? And she said, because it will make a community where people can know and live in their purpose. If they can help each other, they can live in their purpose, doing things that they enjoy and live in peace. Wow. Can you see how that's building a conviction there? She wants to help people live in peace. She wants to help people discover their purpose. And so then I asked her the final why. Why do you want to help people know and discover their purpose? And she said, so that each person can make it to heaven. Each person can do what they were created on earth to do, make God happy, and each person gets to go to heaven. So that was her big why. That's the thing that keeps her up at night, is that ultimately her goal is to get people to live a life that's pleasing to God, live in their purpose so that they can do what they were created for, make God happy, and eventually make it to heaven. That's what keeps her up at night. How she's doing it first is by supporting kids going to school. Okay? Remember, when you walk in your purpose, and my coach told me this, when you walk in your purpose, it creates opportunity, right? Purpose gives permission. Purpose gives permission, meaning that it creates opportunity for you to fulfill your purpose in any environment. So she can help people live in their purpose and make it to heaven, turn their lives around in any environment. But she's using to start off helping support kids going to school. That's what I want you to do this week, is to really sit down, put yourself at the gate of opportunity. As you go through the gate of opportunity, then ask yourself why. And whatever answer you give, ask yourself why again. And ultimately, it will get you to that why that keeps you up at night. I know my why, and it was a why that was pricking me. I couldn't articulate it. And now I can clearly say that my why, is to transform lives, to empower people to be the best version of themselves, to uncover their purpose as well, and to live in the identity in which they were created for. That's what keeps me up at night. That's why I look for opportunities to kind of pour into others, because we were created for more. We were created for greatness. And many of us are walking around blind, not even recognizing the power that we have, because we don't even know our true identity and our true identity in Christ. So try that exercise. Tell me what your why is, and go through that process and tell me if it leads you to a bigger conviction, because the I is to identify your why in the birthing framework. Once you've identified that why, then it will give you the momentum and the conviction to keep going. Have a great week.